It's time for the hottest show in America. It's time for the Al Rucker Show, where you get the 411 from A to Z, special guests, and much, much more. So buckle up for a wild, wild ride. The Al Rucker Show starts now.
Thank you for tuning into the Al Rucker Show. You got Seven the Poet.
Say, Mike.
You got Nikki Woods.
Yes.
You got myself, Al Rucker. How you guys doing?
Man, it's been a busy week.
Man, busy is an understatement.
Busy. I mean, just so much going on. The holidays are upon us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is officially holiday season. Like, people on my street have their Christmas lights up, and I'm really disturbed by that.
Yeah, I don't do none of that.
Well, at least not till it's closer to Christmas. It's like, why y'all got to one-up everybody else on the street?
Well, it used to be the
day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
Thanksgiving night, you put the tree up.
That's the tree cheering
If
party.
you're ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, come on, man.
Like, I'm already disturbed by it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a Hispanic chick was upset about not having Thanksgiving dinner.
But it's not Thanksgiving yet.
Yeah, but she's not gonna have Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh.
And I was like, so you mad because you're not celebrating the genocide of your people?
So is there a reason why she's not having Thanksgiving dinner?
She said she ain't got no family.
Did you say did you say she's Hispanic?
Yeah.
How is, maybe I missed my Thanksgiving history, but how is that the genocide of her people?
They didn't.
What you think the Native Indians are?
Okay.
Well,
I never heard that one.
Well, I guess my question. I guess
Mexico.
I understand what he's saying.
I know where Hispanic people are from, but
So he's saying Indian people are Spanish.
Before the Louisiana Purchase, all that, when the boys showed up, they decided to call them like they was Mexican.
Oh, okay. And we changed their name and everything.
I never heard of that one.
I've
That's a
never
good one.
heard that before.
Well, I mean, he's educated. He probably,
I'm not
arguing with
arguing. I just said I've never heard it before.
Yeah, I'm schooling. This is how I teach.
Okay. All right. Well, we have been schooled officially.
Well, both of y'all got education.
I do too, but my education did not include that. So we
didn't?
But we'll talk more about that. Maybe people can shed some more light on that. I've just never heard that before.
So Indians were actually Spanish. So basically, if I got Indian blood in me, I'm half Spanish. Is what you're telling me.
Your name should be
Well,
Roberto.
I don't know.
Alfredo.
I don't know about you being Spanish.
No, real talk. When I do travel abroad, when I do travel to Spanish,
Alfredo.
They say, "What's your name?" I say, "Alfredo."
Right. Well, we're gonna get more into this. We've got comedian Luenell on the way. Also, Steve Pemberton. He is going to help us power up, and then out front, we are going to talk more about National Adoption Month, all that. Plus, Ask Al, Ask of the Week on the way, and a lot of great music, including this one. It is Usher. You Don't Have to Call on the Al Rucker Show.
Thank you for tuning back in to the Al Rucker Show. You got Seven the Poet.
Say, Mike.
You got Smiling Nikki Woods.
Yes.
You got myself, Al Rucker, and we have the beautiful Luenell.
We do. Comedian Luenell is joining us. They say she's small in stature, but she more than makes up for it with her big personality. And you know, if you've ever seen her or heard her or heard her laugh, it's very easy to recognize her when she is in a room. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So it's like you have 4 paragraphs worth of credits to your name. You have done just about everything from comedy films, obviously stand-up, to even television, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, The Tony Rock Project, Chocolate News, which I absolutely love. That was one of my favorite shows. And you're touring right now. Do you take off for the holidays, or are you just constantly on the road?
I usually take off for Christmas, but I'm usually booked for New Year's and Thanksgiving, as I am this year. It just so happens that the whole end of my year is going to be spent in Texas, which is great because I was born in Arkansas, but I have 3 sisters in Texas and a brother still in Arkansas, a brother in Texas. And so I'm going to Texas tomorrow. I just got home yesterday. I'm in the air at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, God willing, with all this holiday travel. I'll go to Fort Worth, Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, and I'll go to Fort Worth and be with my sister and nieces and nephews and family and stuff for Thanksgiving, which I rarely ever am. And then the next day, I go from Fort Worth to Houston. I'll be doing the Houston Improv for that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Then I come back. I go to Virginia Beach I come back from that, and I go to Cuba, and then I come back from Cuba, and I go back to Texas for Dallas with Gary Owen for New Year's Eve.
Oh, wow.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I got to
Yeah.
be at that one. So are you performing in Cuba?
I hope not. Too.
Have you ever
I'm
been
going
before?
No.
It is going
I've
to trip you
been on-
out.
I've been on several cruises, and I've performed on mostly all of them.
Uh-huh.
That's why I went. But one of my nieces, my oldest sister, who we look very much alike, we like to travel together because it messes people
it
up when
does.
they see us together.
Yes.
But her daughter's birthday is in December. She said she was going to take her daughter on a cruise. Me and my sister went on the Tom Joyner cruise before. We had a great time. We did not have no arguments or nothing. So we want to cruise again. And then I've been threatening to take my daughter on a cruise. And it's perfect because, unfortunately for all of us, she got hit by a car last week. Not in a car. She got hit by a car.
Your daughter
she
was
didn't
walking
get-
and got hit by a car?
Yes.
Wow.
But she didn't break anything. She's a dancer, and that was our main concern.
Right.
So, because that's her real career. So she didn't break anything. She just got scraped up a little bit. And I want to definitely take her. You know, I had planned the trip anyway, but so it's going to be two sisters and two first cousins. And they're closer to age, and me and my sister are closer to age. So they can run around the boat and get drunk. And me and my sister go to the spa every day.
You're not going to run around and get drunk, Luenell?
Well, I left that part out.
Yeah.
Deliberately left
I was
that one
going
out.
to say, because we were on the same Tom Joyner cruise, and I saw how you got down.
I'm probably going to walk around and get drunk rather than run around and get drunk.
Ain't nothing wrong
But
with
getting
that.
drunk immediately is the first thing on the agenda.
That's
Because
right.
it takes a lot to get on these ships. It's very complicated. And once you get on and you go to the purser and put your money on the card, then hell, the first thing you want to do is get
Get
drunk.
a drink.
So
That's exactly right.
that's what I'm going to do, yeah.
So what do you think has been the best thing about Donald Trump being president and then the worst thing about Donald Trump being president?
Oh my.
I think the best thing about Donald Trump being the president of the United States is that he has sort of brought the minorities together in a situation where it's like us and them. Like the Muslims don't have any more props than just a brother in the street, and the Asians don't either because they drug an Asian off United Airlines. And so we're sort of all together now rather than this infighting amongst nationalities. We're sort of all us and them type of situation right now. So I think that's a good thing because God knows the blacks and the Jews should not be fighting. They both went through the most horrible
Right.
situations in humanity, and blacks and Mexicans shouldn't be fighting because, you know, we low-key love Mexicans. I know my life is better with a Mexican around. And you know, and so it's just really separated the white folks from all the minorities. I think that's good because people were under the illusion of inclusion, as the great Paul Mooney says, and now they know that you're no different than me, I'm no different than her,
Sure.
and we're all in the same minority terrible boat. I think the worst thing about Donald Trump being the president of the United States is that he has opened up the racist can of worms to where we may never get back to even where we were before. He has not been an example of a good person. He has not been an example of a good husband. He has not been an example of a good father. And he's not been an example of a good man. So I think those are the worst things about him and the best things about him.
Well, you can follow Luenell on her Instagram. Every time I get a notification that Luenell is going to go live, I have to stop what I'm doing and watch because it's hilarious.
I like doing that.
Yeah, so follow her, and you can also learn more about where she's going to be doing her stand-up on her website, heyluenell.com. So we appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out.
Let me spell it for the people.
Please spell it for the people.
But in the Instagram, it's just at Luenell, at Luenell, and my website is heyluenell.com, HeyLuenell.com, and my Facebook is the official Luenell. I just spelled Luenell twice, and if you don't know how to spell official, don't bother coming to my page in the first.
Even if you're sitting in the back. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I can't wait till you get to Houston and Dallas. So I'll definitely see you while you're here.
Are we done?
We we are done. Did you have anything else?
Well, I have a million other things else to talk about. We didn't talk about A Star Is Born. We didn't talk about the Dolomite movie.
You're right. Let us do that. Tell us.
No.
No.
Do your job.
No.
You are.
Didn't want to talk about it. We didn't talk about it.
No, you are absolutely fine. We are going to talk about it right now. So tell us all about A Star Is Born.
No, because if you was interested, you would have asked me about
Luenell?
it.
Oh my God.
Luenell.
She getting on you today.
She does
Come
it
on,
all the
Luenell.
time. Luenell, tell us about A Star Is Born.
I want to know what about A Star Is Born.
I will not do it.
All right. Well, I have the press release, and I'm going to read all the information, whether you like it or not.
Nah, but I want now.
Okay.
Now wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah, Luenell.
They might.
There's two other people on the show want to hear about it.
Yeah, they might not want to. Or you might not. But I'm thoroughly interested in the Dolomite movie. I mean, I'm sure you can get that from. Way down in the jungle deep.
I mean, I would have thought somebody would have been interested in it, but maybe it's your time slot. Maybe you got more important. Maybe you got Dave Chappelle or somebody on the line that you got to do an interview with. I'm just little old Luenell.
Not at
I know
all.
I don't give a 5 minutes. If I'd have known I didn't give 5 minutes, I'd have had business stay, and we could have drank some of this
what we're gonna do, Luenell, is oh my Jesus, we're gonna give you 2 5-minute slots. So now we're gonna talk about A Star Is Born and Dolomite.
Thank you for tuning back into the Al Rucker Show. Seven the Poet.
Oh my God.
You got myself and you got Nikki Woods. And we are in this Hot Topics,
We
correct?
are in Hot Topics, and I was going through some magazines while I was standing in the grocery store line, and they did this study where they went through all of the things that attract women to men. And there is one thing that not universally, but the majority of women say that they like on a man that naturally attracts them.
I bet y'all can guess.
To men. I want you to guess. I want to see if you guys know what it is.
I'm gonna give you 2, but I know one of them has to be the top.
Okay.
Shoes,
Okay.
teeth.
What do you think, Seven?
That a man has to have on him that attracts a woman.
Like a physical
A
feature.
wallet.
Teeth. You gotta be his teeth. You talking about physical?
No, it's a beard.
That's trendy.
Well, but I'm just saying that's what they're saying right now. And there's like obviously a variety of beards. Some like the full face beard. Some like the goatee. Some like what Seven has.
I wonder what happened to
What does 7
Bring your
have?
Pringle closer to the mic.
I wonder what happened if wigs got a style though.
If what? Weaves?
Wigs.
Oh,
Wigs.
wigs.
Me and we'd probably never know. We'd never know.
You don't think? You would know.
No, if they wouldn't. Well,
You would absolutely know. What are you talking about?
They'll come up with something
There
else.
would be more ponytail.
They'll come up with
women
something
wearing-
else.
Yeah.
No, you would
they'll-
absolutely know.
They'll come up with something else.
Yeah.
They'll come up
Well,
with something
you know
else.
what? And I think it's interesting because, obviously we talk a lot about the things that women do. Seven gave us a whole
Rundown.
lecture on makeup and why we're not showing up as our true selves. But black women struggle. I'm telling you, with the whole hair thing. I have never seen a group of women that have to plan like everything around their hair.
Y'all struggle because y'all trying to look like something. Let me tell you what they not doing.
No,
what they have.
no,
Trying to
no.
impress each other.
Some people struggle because of that, but not all women struggle because of that.
Not all women, but
No,
Man, let me tell you
seriously.
something. It's a bunch of chicks. I can't say, hey, I'm having a pool party. They won't show up.
Oh no, they ain't.
Well,
never
they'll
gonna
show
do
up. They won't get in the pool.
They ain't get in the pool.
But
They
they'll
ain't get in the
show
pool.
up.
I can't
No,
do nothing
I
wrong.
mean literally. Like I'll go on cruises and I'll be the only black woman in the pool. I mean, I get it. It's like we have issues with the working out because if your hair sweats, then it'll
Right.
do all sorts of funny things.
So the question is, when you're in the pool, are you swimming or you just standing in the pool?
No, I'm swimming. I'm swimming in the pool.
Keep swimming, keep swimming, keep swimming.
I'm swimming in the pool. I like swimming in the pool. Like I like water in the pool. Like I struggle because I shouldn't get my hair wet, but I do because I like being in the pool.
But you can't take a walk with your chick in the rain.
No.
No, they ain't gonna do that.
No, I'm saying it's a serious struggle.
I ain't gonna do that.
Right.
You get sick.
But it's romantic.
It is romantic.
No, it's
Very
romantic.
romantic.
So
just pull a chair up and we're gonna look at the rain on the patio.
But it is a struggle. It's like we have to plan it. Like when we're gonna get our hair done, how long it'll last, if we have an event coming. I mean, it's a whole thing.
Well, when you travel, when you travel with most women, when they travel, they prepare their hair for
travel.
So they get the braids,
Yep.
so they can go swimming.
Absolutely,
they can do all the kind of stuff like that.
Absolutely,
but just dry getting in the pool, they ain't doing that.
Well.
Like this goes. I feel like going swimming.
I'm gonna look crazy for probably 3 days until I get my hair done, but I'm gonna go swimming. But I just accept the consequences of it. But women apparently really like facial hair. So good job, Al.
Wow.
7.
Beard
You have
gang.
facial hair. I mean, it's a little beard gang, but it's a beard. I said you have facial hair.
Did you just call my beard little?
So they,
Well,
yeah.
you have a baby beard. But I like baby beards.
Did you hear Elise laugh?
Well, what do we call it?
Okay, so question.
Okay, as a man, what would you like for it to be called? Just a beard?
So what do you
A frugal
consider?
beard.
What do you consider? when you say a beard, what do you consider? A beard. He has a goatee.
But it's still, yeah, it's in the beard family.
Okay.
I mean, you're beard gang.
Yeah, I have a beard.
He's
yeah.
like
That's a goatee.
beard.
Can we get off my beard?
preschool.
Beard preschool. Okay.
He is not taking anybody out with that beard.
No.
I love it. So anyway, so
He
now,
he hit him with a poem. He hit him with a poem.
we forget all about
a
the
beard
lack
poem.
of facial hair.
He hit him with a beard poem.
Oh my goodness. So now you guys know. So everybody out there, that's why there's like 1 million people on the Beard Gang Facebook group. We'll be back. We got Ask Al, Out Front, Ask of the Week, all on the way on the Al Rucker Show.
Thank you for tuning back into the Al Rucker Show. Myself, Al Rucker.
You are? That's
I am me. And you got 7 the Poet.
Say, man.
And you have the beautiful, beautiful Nikki Woods.
Thank you. We are here.
I want my pie.
I know. I'm not baking you a pie. So, and we're talking to Dr. Steve Perry. I'm extremely excited about this. Have, of course, known him for years and years and years. He's one of the most sought after educators in America. They say he is revolutionizing education in America, and he walks this walk every single day. He's also the person everybody else calls. Oprah, Steve Harvey, P. Diddy, everybody calls him, and he has set up some different things, but he's got a really unique show that is going to be on in the new year, so we definitely wanted to talk to him. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. You guys are the first ones I'm talking to about the show.
I know. I love
Y'all
it.
got the exclusive.
So tell us a little bit about what you're currently doing for those who might not be as familiar with you as we are. Tell us about your school and the things that you're doing, and then I want to talk a little bit about the show.
Sure. So my real life, I'm an educator. I am the founder of, I guess we're going on our 4th or 5th school, I have to count them, between Connecticut and New York. We educate mainly minority children. We do have a white child in this school here in Bridgeport.
Hey. What?
And we do. And we have one in Harlem, too. So I guess almost exclusively, one of my sons called our school historically black high school.
I love it.
That's what's
I
up.
love it.
So we're a year-round college preparatory school, and what I'm especially proud of is, of course, we send 100% of our graduates on a 4-year college. But what I'm really proud of is, had a funder come in, and they said your kids have a real high EQ, that's emotional intelligence, and why that's important to me is because when they come in and they speak to our kids have providence to make their own decisions and communicate. We haven't shaved our children down to some robotic student. They are kids. They come in, and we love them to pieces, even when they aggravate us, like the ones that I live with.
Yeah, well, welcome to the parenthood circle here. And interestingly enough, you're opening the 5th Capital Prep School, right?
That's what's up.
Yeah.
And Sean P. Diddy Combs, speaking of funders, has pledged $1 million to help make that happen.
He did. You know what's really dope about that? I mean, okay, so there's a million things that are dope about that, but there's a little bit more that's really cool about it. When he and I began talking about starting a school together, I was cool with the school that I had in Hartford. I was Hartford, Connecticut, and I was very comfortable staying in that space. And for years, and I do mean years, he and I would talk. And one day he pretty much broke it down. He said, just come on, man. Like, this is all that you want to do, this one school? And I said, well, it's not really all. It's like, it's a lot for me. I feel like I'm where I need to be. And he said, well, what if people could see 2 brothers who at the top of their game come together and do something for our community? I said, you know what? That right there makes a lot of sense. What happens if more of us come together and do something powerful for our community? We don't go and ask other people to do or ask for permission to do, but we get out there and get it done. So when he was asking me to start a school, and he did so, and I think this is also equally important, this was over the course of 3 or 4 years. Now, a couple of things had happened in his life where he could have used some cover, so to speak, where if people knew what he was doing, they probably would have taken some heat off of him. Mm-hmm. On more than one occasion, I would reach out to him and I'd say, bro, little bro, like, you need me to speak on what you're doing so that people can know that you're not just what they're seeing, but you're doing something deeper. And he would say, no, I don't want anybody to know about what we're doing until we get it up off the ground.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And nobody knew that he was part of the first school in Harlem, and no one knew that he was part of the Bronx school that we're opening.
Right.
Until after the announcement. And in fact, with the Harlem school, people didn't know that he was involved in it until the day we opened.
Wow.
That is amazing. And now Fox Network has up and giving you a show. And one of the questions that we all asked, right, was do they know what they're getting themselves into? It's Fox.
I know,
it's
right?
Fox. It's called The Breakthrough with Dr. Steve Perry.
Right. So they
I like that.
So I got contacted by CBS. My man Yusuf, who you know, brother Seth, said to me, "Yo, CBS wants to talk to you." I was like, "CBS? What CBS? You like?" I thought, everybody got nicknames, so I'm thinking like his brother a nickname.
Right.
Like they said, no. He said, no, CBS. And so I talked to a really nice woman there. Her name is Elaine, and she mentioned that she had wanted to do a show, and I thought, okay, cool, because people say that you guys are in entertainment, so you know better than I. People always got an idea, right?
Right.
Just take it for what it is. And, you don't want to be disrespectful to an idea because whatever. Fast forward a year and a half later, she says, hey, what do you think about moving to LA for this show? I said, yeah, so that's a no.
Straight up.
I'm not. And, and I said, I'm sure that somebody's going to be really gassed up to get this opportunity. But I love what I do. I feel so humbled and blessed to be able to wake up every single day in my dream. I pray to God that he doesn't wake me up and drop me off in somebody else's life. And so in my real life, I get to work with kids. I get to say what I want to say. I get to say it the way I need to say it, which is not always as pristine as prime time television requires it. So, Doc, that's where we are
Doc,
now.
Let me ask you something. I'm glad you went with that. You being who you are, as some people say, Dr. Steve Perry, he's too militant, and now you had a show. Are you? I mean,
on Fox, which is a whole different feel.
But I'm like asking you, educator to educator, how do you handle that? Because you're good at what you do, and I don't know why they think that we are some cookie cutter, like you said, robotic people, that we don't have problems or we don't use certain language to get our point across.
Right.
How do you handle it?
Well, Shakespeare said it best, to thine own self be true. I've lived a modest life. so I don't necessarily need lifestyle. So I'm not chasing a dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I'm not bound by cash. When they asked me to move to LA, the money was there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And the answer was still no.
Right.
Because you're looking at a free black man.
Right. Right.
I like what he just said. I like what he just said.
What so many of us, and just bear with me for a minute because this is a really important point, brother, and I really want to make sure I make this point to your viewers and listeners. Too many of us as African Americans, we move up the socioeconomic level and we overspend, which makes us servants to our jobs and doesn't allow us the freedom to be who we are. When I was the principal of the school we started in Hartford, one time I got a call from an assistant superintendent, and they were mad. He said, Dr. Perry, I need to talk to you about something that I heard that you said. And I said, you know what? I probably said it. I don't even know what you're saying, but I probably said it. And he said, I said, but you know what you should do? You should fire me. He said, well, I ain't going to fire. I said, well, then get off my phone.
What we talking about?
Because we ain't really talking about nothing. Brother, they sent the wrong person to make this call. Whoever had the issue with what I said should have said it to me themselves. I work hard to produce. The quality of our product is authentic, meaning that if I sucked at what I did in terms of educating, they'd have came at me a long time ago. They've accused me of a bunch of things, but they say my school sucked.
Right.
That they can say whatever they want to say, but that they can't say. Right. So then the quality of our product is there. I live in a modest space where I don't overspend, in terms of putting myself upside down in debt. And therefore, I stay in my lane. I like watching fighting. And, the great fighters, they keep their elbows in tight. They don't swing wildly. I don't swing wildly. I don't say things to get attention. That's absurd, right? I'm not trying to get attention. And I'm often surprised that people call me controversial because I don't know what's controversial necessarily about saying that black kids are as smart as any other children ever born. Like, I don't know why that's controversial. I would think the opposite would be pretty controversial. I don't know what's controversial about saying that poverty doesn't stop a person from learning or that Latinos are as intelligent as everybody. Like, I don't know why that's controversial. So why I'm able to say what I'm able to say is because, one, the quality of our product is real. And then I, as a person, have not put myself in a position where I'm upside down, where if I lose this job, I'm going to lose my house and my kids. No. I have taken what little bit of money I've been able to make and put it away.
So, Dr. Perry, before we let you go, I want you really kind of to leave us with something that we could do today for our children, especially our children of color, that will change the trajectory of their education. I feel that so many parents are lost in this public school, I call it a wasteland, and other institutions. What is one thing that we can do today, starting today, if your children are still in school for the holiday, starting today, that will change their future their education?
So it's structure and honest. So in the home, it's structure. I got one at home right now in his room because this dude seems to think that C's are a good thing. So we're having negotiations back at the house.
I like that. We're having negotiations.
So my negotiations typically are R-rated. Yeah. So we don't air those. But there's that side of it. And then the other side is we as a community have to fight for school choice. You mentioned it's a wasteland. We have an obligation to make sure that every single parent has the right to choose the best school for them. It's just the truth. If you have more than one child, all kids are not created the same. I'm not saying that one is equal one is greater than the other. They're just different. And they need different academic settings in most cases. And just because they live in the same house or even came from the same womb doesn't mean they necessarily need the same things. And what we know is the people who designed, the powers and people who designed the justice system are the same ones who designed the education system. And the justice system is not fond of Black and Latino people, nor is the public education system. Both of them have sought to destroy our community from the inside. So we have an obligation to make sure that Malcolm was credited for saying, what do you do what do you say to a man who put his head in the lap of a man with a noose? You hung yourself. There's a point at which we have to be honest with ourselves. We keep sending our kids to schools that haven't educated them in generations. I mean, and they're not going to. They're just not. I mean, there are good people in them, right? Because I got to say that as a disclaimer. There are good people in every school, and there are bad people in every school. But this system, right? There's some teams that are just never going to be winning teams. Yeah. They're just never going to make it to the NBA Finals, and in our lifetime. And if they do, people would be like, "Word, they made it. Portland made it to the
especially now. A lot of the system is antiquated. You got those old heads at the top, and they don't want to relinquish those jobs because maybe it's that they are in position to make sure the minorities don't get the education that they need, or they're in a position, like you said, they're slaves to the money, or they just stuck on the title. I wish they would.
And they come in all colors. Let's keep
100.
it 100. Because I have sat in the offices of people, and I've said to them, brother, are you serious right now?
Right.
Do you hear what you're saying?
Right.
You don't even send your kids to this school. Like, you trying to convince this teenager to keep his behind at this high school to play basketball for you, and your kids go to a private school. Come on, man. Why are you doing that to this kid?
This is why he's got a show on Fox, and we definitely have got to have you back because we could talk to you forever. But we absolutely want to support Breakthrough with Dr. Steve Perry. It will happen in January.
January 7th, folks. I'm supposed to say that. January 7th. You make sure you watch it for real.
Absolutely.
January 7th. They give me 10 shows to prove myself.
And we have to show up in the numbers to make sure that this continues. So we got you. We got you.
Because there won't be any more black men on television during the day if Brother Steve ain't up there. Not just me. I'm saying like Steve Harvey. Yeah. I hear his show may not be on. So we the last of the Mohicans for a minute.
Last of the Mohicans. And definitely follow Dr. Steve Perry on Instagram at Dr. Steve Perry and stay up with what he's doing. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for letting us be
I love
first.
y'all. Thank you. I genuinely do. I really do love y'all. And you keep doing what you're doing. You've been such a supporter. And anything I can do.
Absolutely.
That's why we came to y'all first.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
So,
all right, peace.
Bye, Dr. Perry. Wow.
Yeah.
So we'll give everybody reminders. We'll put it on the website. We'll blast it to social media, and we'll definitely take care of it.
I'm excited about that.
I am too.
But they in for it though. Yes. But it's Fox though. Fox always kind of, especially with the news side, they walk that fine line.
Now they do, but it's funny with Dr. Perry because he kind of slides in there with his sweater and his glasses, and people don't have any idea what they're up for
until he started talking.
Exactly. So we got a lot more coming up in our second hour. Ask Al Out Front Ass of the Week on the way on the Al Rucker Show.
Thank you for tuning in to the Al Rucker Show. You got Seven the Poet.
Say mine.
You got myself, Al Rucker. We got Nikki Woods, and you're about to do Out Front with Nikki Woods.
I am. Nikki Woods and Keandra Jackson. We are going to talk about mental health in the black community. Keandra is known as America's #1 relationship therapist. She's also been listed as one of the 10 black female therapists you should know in Huffington Post. She's been seen on The Doctors. She's been featured in BET, The New York Times, and a bunch of other stuff, and we are just lucky to have her here with us today. And one of the things that we can't talk enough about is mental health and mental health awareness, and just as a black community, how we struggle, I think, with getting help for some of our issues. And I know recently Charlemagne the God was on a show, and was it real life therapy? Did they do a real life therapy session?
Yes, it was real life therapy in the moment, which was a very unique process.
And very scary, and Charlemagne I think his emotional intelligence is pretty high. I think he's pretty in touch with himself, but he also seems like he could turn on you real quickly. So it seems like it would be kind of a shaky proposition. But what did you think about that, and what do you think having him do that live on TV did for this conversation around mental health in the black community?
First of all, I want to tip my hat off to Dr. Jess and Charlemagne the God for even being in a spot where all eyes were on him. He was completely vulnerable. I mean, it was live, so there was no replays, no retakes. And I appreciate them for shedding light on this. And I thought it was a really good opportunity to shed light on not only the black community, but a black male being in therapy, right? Because we don't see that as often. And he was very transparent about his anxiety and the panic attacks he had and a lot of the trauma that he had growing up as well. So I thought it was beautifully done, very beautifully done.
So what do you say to black men, especially? We can stay there on how to get past, I guess, the stigma of getting any kind of counseling. I mean, I've heard black men say they're not going to even go to marital counseling because it just has this thing attached to it. What do you say, and how can we help, even as women, our men get past that so that they can get the help that they need?
Yeah, it can be very scary to go to a complete stranger, right? And then to be open and honest with some of their deepest, darkest issues. That can be very scary. And so I'm seeing more black males in my private practice in Los Angeles coming in and getting the help that they need, which is really great. And I believe that it's something that the women can also facilitate, because we go to therapy way more often than men do, right? So encouraging them, giving them that nudge and saying, hey, my therapy session was great, or giving them that positive feedback and letting them know that whatever you share in the therapy session is literally confidential. No one will go out and share your information. And you can find dope black therapists like myself and so many other people out there who are able to relate to you on a cultural level and give you the tools you need to make sure that you're on your way to have a better state of mental health.
Women have been saying that. That's not what's going to get us in there.
What's going to get you in there?
You got to cater to the ego. You have to cater to our ego.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to therapy. I'm scared. Or I need you. I need your support. I need you to be there. We there. Boom. It's not about. We don't want to disclose. We are not ready. We just don't understand it. And then another thing is.
But wouldn't you feel tricked though if we did that and then you got there and it's about you being a part of the therapy
session? But now I'm there
session?
and I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Now I'm there, and everything that I was thinking about that didn't exist, feeding to my anxiety, that's been erased, because now I have a reality check to reference. You know what I mean? Like, one of the things about marital counseling is we go and we sitting there with chick. I just told you this in the living room. Doc repeated it, and I got to pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't like that.
Well, he got a point there. And then what you're saying is, I don't think the man will feel tricked. I think we'll be upset for the first moment or two, but then we'll understand and appreciate. Why are you looking like that?
Because I don't believe it.
No, I'm saying, well, you're not a man, so you're not. You can't.
No, but I'm a woman that
you can't
deals
speak.
with men.
I know, but you can't speak from a man's point of view. I'm understanding if that was something that I really needed, and I know deep down men know if they need therapy. We just afraid to speak up and say we need therapy because people gonna think we're crazy.
Right.
Especially as a black man, and you supposed to be, as a kid. When you see a kid as a kid, especially a boy kid, he may fall down and then he's crying, and first thing you say is stop crying.
Stop crying.
Stop crying. Get up. Man up. So the first thing
But if you fall on the playground, 20 little girls gonna escort you to the nurse's office.
I think we understand, what the disconnect is.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, just give you an example on why black men don't want to go. We don't want to go. And then at the same time, you don't want to go, and then you get in an argument with your girl, and she's like, you need therapy. Now you calling me crazy.
We need to get away with the idea and the notion that because you go to therapy, whether it's for individual therapy or couples, that you crazy.
Well,
that is not the case whatsoever. We as a people have been walking around too strong for too long. We're the ones who probably need help the most because we have so much generational trauma.
Exactly. And I think there's a lot of us that probably go to therapy or have been to therapy or had to go to counseling for one thing or the other, and we don't talk about it. So then everybody thinks that nobody else is going to counseling, like nobody is going to counseling. So then they don't want to talk about it, and it just becomes this big hidden secret. But sometimes it's not good enough to go to the barbershop, or it's not good enough to talk about it with your girlfriends. You really need somebody that can give you an unbiased professional opinion on what to do. What to do.
I think therapy has to be made cool. No, you have to make it.
Well, that's what she's saying. There are cool.
Yes.
Yeah, you got it.
I get excited about
counselors,
this, right?
therapists, psychiatrists that look like you.
Well, no, what I'm saying is the counselor that plays a big part. But I think also when you got Charlamagne talking about it, you have even Michelle and Barack talking about they went to therapy for their relationship. You got all kinds of type of people are coming out saying they did it, and now you see where they're at now in life, and you see where they're going in life. I just think you have to change the message on why we going to counseling. And when I say make it cool, you got to make it like, hey, this is a part of educating yourself. Like we all go back to get education to broaden what it is in radio and education and what it may be. You just got to put it to the point where it's at.
Well,
I have a question for Doc. I have a question for Doc. Do you counsel only in the office?
I currently do. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're suggesting home visits?
Hey, yeah. And watch this here. You got to think about the visual image that's given to us as men. Nowhere will you catch me laid out on a Chase Lounge.
Okay, well,
Exactly.
they don't even do that anymore.
Right.
People don't lay on the Chase Lounge.
But if you've
anymore.
never been to, I'm a counselor. I know that. But I'm telling you, if you would sell that visual to men, we like, nah, I don't want to go do that. That's uncomfortable.
Oh, it's uncomfortable for women too.
Now y'all like them.
Okay. Keandra.
They get a picture,
I
get
think
leaked
that
out.
also too, as Black clinicians, there are a lot of amazing Black clinicians. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Therapy for Black Girls directory that went viral. There was so many amazing clinicians on there. We have to be more visible. People like me, dope therapists like me, who young, popping, got cute hair, make therapy cool. We have to put ourselves out there more, because what we're seeing is that people think that therapy is just old white males and it's boring.
Yeah.
That's not true. My therapy sessions are lit.
Well, we're gonna come to one of your sessions when we get back out to LA. We all gonna be on the couch.
I'm gonna let y'all go.
See?
I'm gonna let y'all experience it first.
We're gonna trick you and get you there in the first
I'm
place.
gonna let y'all experience
Definitely follow Keandra Jackson on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook at Keandra Jackson. She is Keandra Jackson everywhere. We appreciate you stopping by. She's been on the show before. We'll definitely have you back. But certainly continue, the fight to keep the conversation going and making sure that everybody knows it's okay to get the help that they need. So thank you, darling. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
Yeah, we got a lot of conversations. Keandra, you don't always get this conversation out of these guys, so you really sparked some discussion.
She did.
So.
I mean, y'all talking about laying black men out on couches and stuff.
I gotta speak up.
I gotta speak up for our black men.
That sounded creepy.
Yeah, laying us out. Talking about you okay? No, I ain't okay.
We got more
These
of the
bills on me.
We got more of the Al Rucker show on the way. We're going to talk about Ass of the Week. We'll see who got nominated, and we'll see who won. All that is, Trump has a standing nomination. All of that is on the way, plus more great music on the Al Rucker show.
Thank you. Tune back into the Al Rucker show. You got Seven the Poet.
Say, Mike.
You got myself, Al Rucker, and you got Nikki Woods. Nikki Woods, what we got on the line?
We are talking to Steve Pemberton. He doesn't know it, but he's one of my favorite people, and I've seen him do several interviews over the years, and I've even booked him on other radio shows. But he is a passionate human rights champion. He works as a human resource leader. He is a chief human resource officer for Global Force, but he also is the author of the U.S. Today bestselling memoir and subject of the film A Chance in the World, where he chronicles his extraordinary journey and search for his family. And that's how I best know him. And so I wanted to definitely have him on today and talk about that and just a lot of other things. So welcome to the show, Steve.
Oh, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Now I am glad to have you on. We are excited to talk to you. Tell us a little bit about your journey and your childhood growing up and why you had to go on this tireless search for your family.
Everything that I could tell you is actually implied in the title of the book and the movie, A Chance in the World. And I got the idea for that title from a diary entry of a babysitter who met me at 1.5 years old. I was in the care of my mother, who was in the middle of a losing battle with alcoholism, estranged from her own family, my father nowhere around. One of the things that my mother would do is that she would call the friends of her parents' friends. So she had, friends like we all do, and she would call on the parents of her friends and tell them, hey, I need you to come get Steve and bring him somewhere to a family that she had some arrangement with. She was supposed to come back and get me that day. Sometimes she did, and sometimes she didn't. So it was always kind of back and forth between this babysitter and my mother. This one particular time he picks me up, and he just sees how desperate the situation is, and he writes in his diary later on that night. He said, drop little Steve off at the latest family that his mother is leaving him with. This little boy doesn't have a chance in the world.
Wow.
And I didn't read that for many years later. But when I did, I thought, well, that described it all for me, what I had been denied, but also what I was seeking.
And so growing up like that, with that being your start, your foundation for what, life was going to be for you later on, what was the turning point? What happened with your mother, and where did you end up? Where did you find yourself?
Yeah, so the turning point was a year after that prediction. Just a few days before Christmas, I was taken from her, and I never saw her again. And often to the foster care system that I go, I'm this collision of labels because my very appearance is a source of confusion. It's definitely a source of confusion for me, but it's a source of confusion for those people entrusted with my care. Young African-American boy. I have a Polish last name. I'm light complexion and blue eyes. So, every day you're aware that you just don't fit in. And the other is that you're always getting asked questions, like, what are you? Where are you from? You have a strange last name. What is that? And I didn't know, so, and unfortunately I fall into the particularly cruel clutches of a foster family that takes me in for money. And every day for the next 11 years becomes war, just an enormous battle to survive, try and figure out where you want. On the one hand, you're fighting two battles, a daily battle for safety, security, and then you're fighting another longer term battle over identity. Where are you from? Who are your people? And nobody to answer that for you.
So for those, because most of us, our childhood looks nothing like that, but we still, experience challenges, and some of us have difficulty overcoming it. Where did you find the inner strength to say, this is not how my life is going to continue? And how did you make sure that didn't happen?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. One was that I love to read. And because I love to read as much as I did, I saw a different world in fairy tales, for example. I saw intact families. I saw where there was goodness. And so that was very, very important. Now, for others, it could be a love of music. It could be love of art. But you need something else that you can channel your pain into. Because if not, then you'll direct that inwards. What did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? And that can lead to some self-destructive behaviors. But it also, at some point, needs to be met by some kind, caring adults, which is what wound up happening for me. I had nobody ever claimed me. Just a hard truth of it all. As a young boy, I was amongst the unchosen. You looked past me if you ever saw me at all. And I could tell. But what I learned to find in the way of comfort was in the interactions that I had with people. So if you used my name when you spoke to me, I would remember you.
Wow.
If you encouraged me to keep reading, as the mailman walking through the neighborhood, Mr. Mead, would say to me if he saw me reading, "Now, young boy, you make sure you keep reading now." A kind word like that would sustain me through the darkness that would continue to unfold in that foster home. And there's something instructive for all of us in that.
Right.
We can all bestow a kindness, a goodness in an interaction.
Wow, that is, you know what, and my heart, my heart hurts, hearing that that as a young child you could tell that people were not even looking at you, that they were just looking past you. Makes me hurt for every child that may feel like that, whether they have a family or not. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, I can relate to them because, I don't know if you do know. I know Seven knows. I grew up in the foster care system.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was in and out of the foster care system until I was 16, and then I was tired of being in the foster care system, so I left home at 16 so I would not be in the foster care system. So literally, you could say I was literally homeless my senior year in high school because I did not want to go back. But I was in and out of the foster care system until from the age of 12 until I was 16, 17, and my siblings graduated out of the foster care system. So I can understand exactly where it's coming from. And going in the foster care system, they take you in, and they not really. You do have some foster care families that do really care for the child.
For the most part, you're a chick.
Yeah, but you are a chick. And I remember the times when you don't have the normacy of saying, "Hey, mom or dad, can you take me to the mall to go shopping?" You had to wait for that voucher to come. And then at the time when the voucher came, we went to Wieners. In Texas, it was Wieners. So we wait till that voucher came. You get a $50, $60 voucher to go buy your school clothes, buy your summer clothes, and all that stuff like that. So I understand exactly where he's coming from. And a lot of the motivation that I have today, I tell people all the time, I'm 46 and be 47. I can remember prior to us being taken into foster care, we bounced around the shelters. And I can literally remember and still hear and smell those shelters. I can literally hear all the mothers. I can hear the kids crying. A shelter has a certain smell, and you're literally in a 6x9 cubicle, as you may say, and that's your family's living quarters while you at that shelter, and it'll have 2 bunk beds in there. And at the time it was, it's 6 of us. So at the time it was about 5 of us, including my mom. So it was 6 of us in this 6x9, and we sharing 2 bunk beds. And me laying at the top of the bunk bed, I can literally wake up in the middle of the night and kind of survey the whole area, and you can see mothers crying 2, 3 o'clock in the morning as they doing it. And then we actually end up being taken into CPS, True Protective Service, into foster care. And I bounced around for a while, so I know exactly where he's coming from.
Well, and I think what's amazing is even with Steve's story and with yours is that you all now have phenomenal families of your own.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just a testimony to your heart and to how both of you have been able to overcome. So Steve, before we let you go, is A Chance in the World, is the movie out or is it coming out? What's the deal with that?
Yeah. So the movie will be out December 1st. It'll be on demand. So your local cable provider, DirecTV, Dish. A couple of weeks after that, it will be on Amazon Prime, Netflix.
Oh,
whichever way
nice.
that it flows. Yeah. So, but it's on the 1st, it is being released both here in the United States. But in 60 countries across the world at the same time. Because as you just heard, now here's somebody you've known for a while, right? And you did not know. And there's a lot of people who have that narrative of fighting, overcoming, persevering, and it explains their grind. It explains their relentlessness, because you do remember sights, sounds, smells, music. And there's a part of you, no matter how successful you become, you never want to be back in that moment ever again. Absolutely. So it's why you get up early, you stay late, and it's why you do all the things you do. Yeah. But lastly, what I was trying to accomplish with the film, too, was trying to show the impact that everyday people have. Because one of the problems in our society today is we're looking to these, so-called leaders in society who keep showing you that they have not earned that right with the way that they behave and act, their self-centeredness. But I think the most important influences on our life are the everyday people like us. We get up every day, we live our lives, we try to take care of our communities, our careers, raise our families, but we also have a lot of wisdom because of it, too. We ought to be focusing our efforts on those folks, right? Those lessons.
Well, we are so glad that you could spend some time with us today. We definitely want to support the December 1st release of A Chance in the World. You can get more information on Steve's website at stevepemberton.io and follow him on social media at iStevePemberton. So thank you so much. I'm glad we had this conversation.
No, me too. Pleasure to be with you.
Absolutely. We'll certainly have you back. So,
for sure.
Wow. Thank you. My goodness. I don't even know what to say. I'm gonna give you a hug. We're gonna go to break and I'm gonna give you a hug. We're going into the second hour. We've got Out Front, a lot of good stuff. Ask Al. We're gonna solve somebody's problem. And yes, 7, we have Ass of the Week. All of that is on the way on the Al Rucker Show.
Thank you for tuning back into the Al Rucker Show. You got 7 the Poet.
Simon.
You got myself, Al Rucker. And we have Nikki Woods.
Yes,
and Nikki Woods, who is this beautiful young lady we have?
Well, let me tell you, we have had some phenomenal conversations about adoption, the foster care system. We talked to a guest a couple of weeks ago who was adopted, and then she gave one of her children away for adoption. We talked to Steve Pemberton, who talked about his experience with the foster care system. And now we have Regina Louise, who is here, and she's going to help us continue this conversation. It is November, and it means it's National Adoption Awareness Month, and Regina is the author of her memoirs, Somebody's Someone, and then its follow-up, Someone Has Led This Child to Believe, which I just love the title, and it's like you just have to find out more about it. And also her story will be a Lifetime movie that is coming up. It's going to be due out next year. So welcome to the show, Regina.
Thank you. I'm honored.
So tell us a little about your story, because I was reading some background, and you were the daughter of a singer-songwriter. He did some work for Barry White and some other things, and based in Austin, Texas. His name is Tom Brock. And,
right.
And he gave you up because he wanted to focus on his career, and I guess he just didn't have time to be a father.
Right. I mean, let's put ourselves in his shoes. Here's a brother during the 70s. He gets an opportunity to work with Barry White, to have a dream come true. He's one of 12 children, 9 different dads, lots of chaos. He's having to fight men off in order to find some sense of place and identity within his mother's life. It's rough for him, and he's very, very bright, an IQ of 160. So this guy is intelligent and nowhere to go. So his head is bumping up against the ceiling of his limited opportunities at that time. And so he lands an opportunity to work for Barry White and Gene Page and Love Unlimited Orchestra and Love Unlimited. Yeah. And then you find out you have this daughter that you sired, 11 years ago. That's kind of hard to emotionally have that connection to do the right thing, especially if we never had an opportunity to attune or connect when I was born.
Well, now you're very self-aware, because that's not the conversation that we would have had with a lot of people whose father gave him up for adoption because he wanted to go pursue a music career. I just have to be honest.
Well, be honest. Your honesty is yours, and I love that. There's room for that. But at the end of the day, it will not serve me. Let's be really clear. I have a limited amount of time on this earth.
Yeah.
And it's just not going to serve me to be in anger and disappointment.
No,
I spent so much of my younger life taking that fact that my parents did not want me. I spent a lot of time destroying myself over that truth that I've had to let it, up till I was like 40. And then it's like, you know what? Okay. Now my life is my responsibility. What do I do now?
Absolutely refreshing that you have that position, and I think it will be encouraging and provide hope for people that are still in that space of anger and feeling unloved and unwanted.
Sure.
So then fast forward, so you're in the foster care system and you meet a lovely counselor who loves you to death. You love each other. You think it's a match made in heaven.
Yes, it was.
She happens to be white, and so the courts say no. This cannot happen. She cannot adopt you.
Oh, I can't wait for y'all to see this movie. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then I'm going to look for Cornel West to Skip Gates to give me a phone call. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to unpack what this is really all about.
Yeah.
She loved me. And to me, loves tentacles, loves property, loves foundation. It transcends beyond color, race, class, privilege, socioeconomics.
Sure.
And she just saw a little girl who no one wanted. And from a compassionate place, she thought, hey, I'm a single white woman. you know, why not? We had a great connection. Go back to the beginning of the conversation. I attuned with her. We connected and we imprinted. And she just so happened to be white. And it's so crazy because my father's wife was white, you know. And, you know, I grew up with light-skinned black folk that could pass for white. Like a lot of my father's sisters, blue eyes, gray eyes, blonde hair, light skin. You know how we do. And so it wasn't foreign to me because as a African-American woman, I had seen the variations of skin tone my whole life. And from the time that I lived with Big Mama in South Austin, who was my mother's foster mother, I saw all kinds of shades of folk. So for me, it wasn't a problem. But for my social worker at the time, it was more than a problem. It was tantamount to genocide. That woman loving me was tantamount to genocide. And her perspective was the perspective of Black social workers at that time. If you were to read the bylaw that was passed at the, I won't say inaugural because that may not be accurate, but at it was the inaugural meeting of the Black social workers of America, there was this creed where they said, Black children need to practice self-preservation and to place a Black child outside of the community and outside of the family would be tantamount to genocide. Now, I get it. That sounds, intellectually interesting. Wow. But what happens when that is not an availability? And I believe it was about, that saying, if I can't have you, nobody will. Yep. It's kind of like that. If we can't place you with a Black family, you are going to be on your own. And that was it. So for me to eat out of garbage cans, walk out of foster care with my shit in a Glad garbage bag, that was preferred over placing me outside of my race.
Well, I mean, and because we do have a limited amount of time, Regina. And as much as I am enjoying you, we're going to fast forward because there is a happy ending to this story.
It is all about that happy ending. Yes, God is good all the time. And where most people eat depression when shit don't go their way, I ate happy. Okay,
we are on the radio, Regina, so you can't say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. My bad.
Hey, Regina,
but wait, let me tell the happy ending because what happened was the white counselor, whose name is it Jean? Jean Kerr actually adopted Regina on National Adoption Day when you were an adult, and so it kind of came full circle.
Yes, and today is that day, by the way.
Yes. So I just had to get that out. So go ahead.
Oh, I just like her. I like the way she talks.
I like her too. I've really enjoyed it. And so now you're a foster care advocate, a leadership coach. You travel the country as a trauma-informed and resource family trainer, really advocating on the behalf of foster youth. So what is one thing that you want us to know about that have not experienced the foster care system? What is one thing that we can do to support the change that you're seeking to create?
Well, I have a motto, if you will, that is the core of what I do. And it basically comes down to no amount of love you ever give a child can ever be wasted. And then if we take that down, distill it to its essence, love is never wasted. So when we interact with the children that we come across who are in care, when we interact with them, when we're thinking about them, when we're considering them, I think it's so important to do so from the heart, from the center and core of love, as opposed to the brain. For me, I'm always willing, when it comes to our kids, to take that 18-inch journey from my head down to my heart and do the work of considering these children our children and learn to respect our common humanity. If I could change the foster care system and enroll all three of you from doing that while you eat Pringles, right? And tell me I can't swear, I would say that we begin from a place of love. And every time we come across the opportunity to advocate for our people, our 365,000 Black children that look like all three of us in care, right? We think of them in terms of our common humanity, and we consider them in the most loving way, making that journey from the intellect to the heart. The bureaucracy thinks from this. We must think from our hearts and our soul.
All right, well, we're going to have you back. That's
Yeah,
like
you
already
got
a
to.
done deal. We're going to have you back. We definitely are going to have you back closer to when the movie is released. They just wrapped production on Lifetime. It's called Somebody's Someone. You can learn more about Regina Louise on her website, IamReginaLouise.com, or you can follow her on Instagram at RLOUI001.
Okay.
So I'm gonna call you girlfriend. I feel like we just have to have a girlfriend talk where we can both curse.
And I want to know who did your hair. And I'm loving that sweatsuit jumper thing he got going on. And y'all all cute.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't forget, give Seven some love, or we'll hear about it later.
That's right, Seven. You're the business. I think I have a pair of jeans named Seven. Oh my God! Did your mom name you after the Seven jean line?
No, I'm older than the 17.
You look kind of fresh,
Thank you.
You're welcome, baby.
All right. Well,
Okay,
Regina,
y'all.
we're going to have you back. We appreciate
This
you
was
being on the
fun.
show.
We definitely will. We definitely have to.
Absolutely.
I love y'all and happy Thanksgiving, Pete.
Happy holidays.
Same to you.
No, she is
Bye.
a ball of positive
She
energy.
is.
I want to. All right. Talk to you later, Regina. Yeah, she's amazing. So
She is.
love it. So National Adoption Awareness Month. Learn what you can do. We've learned about, foster care and how we can help there, but also just be informed, because I think that, and I'm just going to make, this real quick because I know we got to go to break, but I think even as, when we go to school as children, we don't realize that there are some children that are not feeling as accepted because they may not have a permanent home. And so just be aware all around you.
No, I can trust me. I can definitely relate. I relate. I mean, just the guests talking about it. It just brings back memories and bringing back feelings and bringing back friends that I made in foster care system. Because like I said, I went from the boys' home to the group home to the individual homes. My siblings were in what they call therapy homes because they believed that something was going wrong in the home that may have traumatized them, but that wasn't the case. They just started plaguing people.
Right.
And like I said, at the age of 16, once I got out that last time, I said I wasn't going back. And I knew based on the living conditions I was in, it was a possibility that could happen.
Right.
And I just couldn't do it anymore.
All right. Well, learn how you can support. We will be back with Ass of the Week on the Al Rucker Show.
Thank you for tuning back into the Al Rucker Show. Seven the Poet. You got myself, Al Rucker. We got Nikki Woods, and we're at that segment we call Ask Al, which happens to be all of our favorite segments.
Not today. Not today. I'm going to try to get through this one without cussing.
We're going to see why. tell us why. What the readers are asking us. They want our help. They want our help.
They want our help, and they're not going to appreciate mine. Dear Al.
All right.
Over the last 17 years, I have paid about $350,000 in child support to my son's mom. Sadly, the money goes to her needs first and not my son, even though she has a full-time job. Next month, he turns 18, which means I can have the support order canceled. I feel conflicted about doing that right away because once that happens, I doubt she will be able to continue the lifestyle my payments have afforded her all these years. And in the end, my son might suffer. I don't want to appear spiteful, but I would be lying if I said I'm not bitter. She literally took me to court when he was just a month old, and I never had the chance to be his father on my own terms. Al, should I move forward and get the support order canceled next month, or should I give his mom a few more months before I file the cancellation? Signed, Dads Matter in Florida.
I don't understand why would you get mad, but what I would do. I understand exactly what he's saying, and I hear a lot of guys may have this problem with their baby mothers. I'm not gonna say mama, baby mothers, but I feel him. So if he does cancel the court order, that may give him an opportunity to bond with his son and just pay the money directly to his son and take care of his son's needs directly. So he definitely still got to take care of him, because if he's turning 18. Is he still in school? There's a lot of things that are still unsaid. If he's, out on his own and he's out doing his own thing, then that's one thing. But if he's in school or trying to continue education after school, this will give him an opportunity to bond more with his son on a one-on-one basis and directly give him the money versus giving it to his mother.
Okay, so first let me say, over 17 years of a child's life, $350,000 is not a lot of money.
It's not.
So let's just be clear about that.
Yeah, it's not.
The other thing is that I think that a lot of men may see how women live their lives, and because they're not there, they assume that money is going toward, if she's out getting her nails done with your child support money, maybe you have an issue with it, right? But at some point, she's got to pay a mortgage or rent. She's got to buy food. Well, we're not going to talk about it, but I have 2 boys and they're extremely expensive. I will just say that. And they're not living the life. I mean, they're just, to take care of them is just expensive. And so I just get really upset when men say, well, I'm giving her $200, $300, $400 a month and she's out there spending my money on her needs. Well, that's just not true.
No, it's not true. And we know that's not always the case, but you cannot omit that does happen.
I'm not saying that people don't. I'm just saying the assumption that should not be made.
It shouldn't be made, but you never
clearly
know.
People do things that they shouldn't do all the time. But I think men don't take care of their kids. Women don't take care of their kids. They don't.
But in this particular situation, I believe I understand. I feel his pain. I think at the end of the day, if he's considering on counseling, if he's going to do that, then I would advise him to get with his son and then make a better. Now he can start bonding with his son and give that money directly to his son. I mean, that's what you got, because at the end of the day, just because he turned 18, you still gonna have to take care of him.
You still have to take care of him.
My boys are 21 and 25, and they cost me more money now than they ever been.
Right.
So I'm paying rent and light bills and the whole 9 yards.
And I think that if you have such an issue with what she does with the money, then that day that it cancel it.
Yeah,
if you think that she's misusing your money, there should be no debate. If you're worried that he's gonna suffer, then like Al said, take care of him.
Yeah, just deal
directly.
With him
just deal with him directly.
I've heard women say, "I want my money."
Okay.
Like
yeah.
How is it your money? It's not your money. It's the child's money.
It's their money to take care of the child. It all goes into a pool. My money, my paycheck goes to my children too. I mean, it's not. She's not saying I want my money so I can go on a 3-week vacation necessarily.
Well, see, this is the difference, though. I understand you looking at it from a woman's point of view, and I understand exactly what Seven's saying. So she's saying I want my money as if this money is for me. It's not for you. It's for the child. So if she rephrased and said, "Hey, I want my son's money," or what it been, it may be a little different. But it ain't what people say. It ain't what you say.
So we're upset about the wording.
Yeah, it's the wording. It ain't what you say. It's how you say it.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, but the bottom line is, I think in this particular guy, he's gonna cancel it. Go on and cancel it, and just deal with the son 1-on-1. That's what I would do. But at the end of the day, don't put yourself in these
but it's like, and I'm not necessarily saying this is just men, because women obviously are in the place where they don't support their children either. But like, I don't even understand like how this is still a debate. Like if you made a child, take care of that child. Period.
Some people didn't get the memo.
Yeah,
period. People act like because he's paid $350,000 over 17 years. Let's do the math. You get a pat on the back?
Well,
no, that's what you're supposed to do.
That is what you're supposed to do. But also, let's don't minimize the $350. It's not a lot of money. Depends on who you are. He may have.
I'm just saying.
I got you, but I understand that. But he's looking at the fact that $350,000 over 17 years. He's looking at what he could have done with that $350,000. What you know?
Well,
is not
then
a lot
he shouldn't
of money.
have had children.
He shouldn't have.
Then he would have been able to find out what he could have done with that $350.
True.
But guaranteed, if he's paying $350, she's out $700.
Yeah.
At the very least.
That's why I told my doctor.
At the very least,
like Cardi B. Come through snipping, snip, snip. Come through snipping, snip, snip.
Wait, and I just gotta. Oh shoot. I want to know, like, so that's $20,000 a year.
Yeah, but what if he only makes $40,000 a year?
Then he shouldn't make a child he can't take care of.
Well,
I'm just saying.
He didn't know that. He didn't know the judge.
Well, then he needs to get another job. Drive for Uber.
Now you want to do.
I'm just saying. Take care of your children.
Now you're knocking brothers down because he don't make that much money.
I'm
Boy,
not. I'm
the
knocking
brother down. Y'all
brothers
kick
down.
him.
I'm knocking brothers down that don't take care of their children.
It's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault.
Why that man? I better make sure I don't make this dad the ass of the week.
The man at the end of the day, wow.
No, I'm joking.
Boy, y'all just do that wrong.
But I'm just saying, parents, if you have a child, and this is not just men. I want to be clear about that. If you have a child, you need to take care of it.
I take care of mine. Mine take care.
Well, then you're not part of the conversation.
Yeah, I'm a black man though. I'm a defender them.
No, there's black men out there that take care of their children.
Yeah, there's white men out there too.
We're not talking
but just
about
say
white
men. Just say men.
There are
period.
people that take care of their children.
There's people that don't neither.
Oh my God!
I don't even know what just happened with you.
Don't beat down the black man. The black
You
man
went
is
to
struggling.
slave talk. Like, why are we slave talking right now?
Because you just you making it like he should have got another job and all this.
Shut up.
Don't beat the brother down.
Gosh, darn
Kicking
it.
the brother while he down.
All right, we will be back. We've got Out Front on the way. Also, Ass of the Week. That's coming up on the Al Rucker Show.
Thank you for tuning in to the Al Rucker Show. You got 7 the Poet,
Say, Mike.
the Pringle King, and we have Nikki Woods, who's mad at me for no reason.
I'm not mad at you.
What you got?
Well, okay, so it's interesting. I had an Ass of the Week. I still just want to talk about it, but then I have an update that may unask them. We might have to take it back. But there's a story that was released about Chipotle, who fired a manager for refusing to serve black customers. This was in St. Paul, Minnesota. They were fired last week. A video surfaced showed employees refusing to serve 5 black men unless they could prove that they could pay. And of course, Twitter was up in arms over this situation. They showed the video, 5 million views in like a day. And so they were very vocal in their objections, of course, when they were asking if a white man had to pay before they were ordering. And it just sounded really racist. She asked for proof of income. Like they were getting a loan at Chipotle. I mean, it was just this big thing. But now the update comes that they have, after completing a review of the incident, Chipotle has apologized to the manager and offered to rehire her because apparently they were talking, the customers were having a whole conversation that was caught on videotape about dining and dashing that the employees overheard and wanted to make sure that they could pay before giving them their food.
Wow.
So we started out with the manager and being the ass of the week, but I think now we have gone to the customers being asses of the week for wanting to not pay for the food that they ate.
Were they just talking about doing it, or were they planning?
Well, I think in the conversation was they were coming up with the plan. They weren't talking about hypothetically somebody else doing it. They were making their plan for them to do it.
Yeah, to do it. But I mean, surprisingly, I'm not me having a restaurant. I've seen this happen all the time. And one of the biggest thing is they'll eat majority of all the food, and then once they halfway finished with it, they got a complaint. And as a business owner, you train your staff that the customer's always right, and they know that. So you try to minimize the back and forth so it doesn't spread over to the other customers. But I see it all the time. I can only,
and we talked about that. I can only imagine, like, just the stealing, I mean, just all the things that happen in the restaurant business.
Man, I was at his restaurant, and some people that I knew came out. I mean, they weren't personal friends of mine, nothing like that, but people always be like, yo, Steph, you got a show, so come out. So this particular night, dude come out, and I mean, he acted, he acted the whole thing. He's there with his girlfriend, and I said, hey man, I got you, it's time for the tab. I was like, well, no, let me get it. He gives the girl his card, and then, all right, come on, let's go. Just grab his girl by the hand, and like he's dragging her.
Yeah, I remember that.
One of his employees, they run the card.
And
she's outside, like, sir, you left your card. Sir, you left your. He jumps in the car, and just dips.
Yeah.
So she tells me, the card didn't go through. So,
of course, you being the.
I paid it, but I mean,
Sev.
Yeah, but people do that though. People do.
Oh
that.
no, I am sure that there are tons of people that do a ton of different things. I mean, I'm just blown away that people put so much energy with all that creativity. You could have your own business somewhere, making a lot of money instead of trying to steal from other people. But it was just an interesting story, and also goes to show that you really, with social media, people put stuff out so quick. Even as reporters and journalists, they try to get the story out first, and then we figure out there's a whole different side to the story. So just very interesting. So we had a great show. We had a great conversation with a lot of great people. And so I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot about you, Mr. Al Rucker, and I learned a lot about the whole adoption and foster care system. So we talked to Steve Pemberton, who encouraged us to power up. And out front, we talked to Regina Louise, also a part of the adoption conversation. And then, Lord Jesus, we had comedian Luenell
Oh yeah,
on here.
yeah.
Who,
She took over.
She did it, but that's what she does.
Yeah, she does,
If you ever want to meet the most honest person in the world,
That's Luenell.
it's Luenell. She will always tell you exactly what she thinks, and it may sting a little bit because I always tend to get
But you can respect.
a little bit of
You
it.
respect people like that.
I do respect
love
them, and
people
I
like that.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
you
and,
love people like
and
that.
one thing, yeah.
Hey, Bishop Magic Don Juan is a real pastor.
Oh, you learned that
Yeah.
today. Yeah, we did learn.
Yeah,
that.
we learned that, and we're gonna actually, we're gonna have him on the show.
We're gonna get him on the show.
Maybe he can bring us our holiday message.
Preachers, pimps, and pulpits.
Yeah,
That's a good
Yeah.
TV show.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I like it. We'll be back. Enjoy your holidays. Hosted by.
Hosted by,
None
because you're gonna
other
get the
than-
other pastor, the real.
We should actually do that. We should actually talk about like who we could put on the reality show.
Ooh.
Pulpits, purses.
Shh, don't say it.
No,
We don't need nobody stealing our
Okay.
titles. We
No,
don't need
don't
nobody.
put it
We
all
live right now. We don't need nobody stealing our titles.
Enjoy your holidays. We appreciate you. We're thankful for you, and we will see you next time
Yes,
on the
we
Al
will.
Rucker Show.
The Al Rucker Show.